Good evening. This is March's astrophotography meeting. We got a good agenda tonight. Not real long, but we got some really good topics, and um, we're going to start with any questions that people have for the experts here, and if not, we don't have any. We'll move right into John. Uh, any questions by anybody?
Yes.
I thought Brent was first.
Well, I can ask Brent to do. I have you actually. No, no, you're right. Steve is first, actually.
Oh, Steve, yeah.
Steve is first. Sorry.
Pass the
Okay.
buck, I see.
Hi, Mikhail. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Okay. Well, Steve, you want to take off and kind of tell us what you what you've learned on robotic telescope imaging and processing?
All right, let's go.
Do- can we do questions first as we
Oh,
usually
yeah.
do?
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry, Steve.
I'm sorry.
It'll be real quick, Meryl, and
Sure. Yeah.
mostly I'm gonna ask you since you have a very long focal length.
Okay.
So it's back to the discussion we had on Discord channel about oversampling. When you process your images, do you still drizzle?
I normally don't.
You normally don't.
Now,
Okay.
Steve is trying to convince me to drizzle. And I think I did on that Copeland's septet,
Mm-hmm.
but I normally do not.
On my 91 millimeters William optics, I do, but yeah, on 2800 millimeters, I don't. And one more question: when you go full focal length, what is your HFR? Because that number that I pay attention to, and
Well, I mean, it ranges from 2 to 5 or 6, or it really
oh,
depends
so
what the seeing is. I mean,
so you also go to 6 as well, because
not that I want to.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
That's right.
yeah,
I focus it as good as I can get, and sometimes
yeah.
exact.
Because I compared it to my William optics, and here, when I get the good skies, it's like 1.7,
My
1.8. And I absolutely love it. It
Yeah,
was
I bet so. I
yeah.
I was telling
I don't think he had a question. I think he just wanted to rub it in.
No,
yes,
no,
I
no.
can do it.
No, no. But then and I understand that is like 433 millimeters focal length, but when I go to 2800 and I see the number fluctuating between 5 and 6, and we get some high level clouds that we can't get rid of. So that is not unheard of, right? At
No.
that focal length.
no.
Okay.
No, because I
Okay.
mean, with my GT71, I usually get 1.9 to 2.1 or something in the range normally. When
Hmm.
a thin layer of clouds come through, you really can't tell. They creeps up some. With my
Right.
nine and a quarter at 1645 ish focal length. When I did, I don't know if you all saw when I posted the Horsehead Nebula, just the Horsehead part, which is pretty much
Right.
the full thing of
Right.
it. When I started with that, it started at 3.3, and when I was getting close to done with it, it was at 6 point something because it was just slowly getting a thin layer of cloud you couldn't see, and it just kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger, and it kept on refocusing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I got anything out because a lot of times I've done stuff like that. I get really bad like that. When I go to stack it all, it just comes out one big blurry mess.
Yeah.
So I just like almost scrap it all.
But
Yeah.
BlurX really helps. So
That's what I hope for, that all this data will be useful, because
I'm sure it will be.
it fluctuates between 5 and 6. So when I use a focal reducer at 1960, with a good sky, it stays around 4, 3.8 to 4.
Yeah.
But this time I wanted to do it full 2800, and it's a challenge to say the least.
Well,
Yeah, that seeing does make a big difference on it. So.
and
Yeah.
what are you guiding it with?
I'm sorry?
What are you guiding it with?
The problem is that I had to switch from my off-axis guider to the regular guidance scope because I don't have enough. I can't find a good star to guide on. on that target.
What camera are you using? Oh, on that
Uh,
particular target or
yeah,
in general? Oh, okay.
yeah. I use ZWO ASI 290 mini, and to me it was a good camera. And on my previous targets at 1960, I can always find guidance stars and guide through off axis. At 2800, it's just like, nope, not gonna do it.
That's
So
the problem with the long focal lengths.
yeah, yeah, that is okay. So I just wanted to compare notes, so to say, if
What
you're in the same range of numbers. So if I'm not somewhere off completely.
what what are you shooting as a target for that?
M106.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mikhail,
Thank you.
in regards to dithering, I've been playing around
Dithering
with
or drizzle.
I'm sorry, drizzling. Thank you, Meryl. I've been playing around with some dwarf stack data. Anyways, I don't know if it's a good. The background noise gets really bad with drizzling 1x compared to if you don't drizzle it. But the stars are much better, the star data.
Mhm.
So I'm beginning to wonder if a good strategy is to add 1x dither to everything and let that be your stars, because then BlurX can deal with that a lot better. The better that the PSF data, the better that BlurX can solve these problems. I don't know, something to think about.
And noise X takes care of your noise.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's-
So why worry about any of this stuff, right?
I mean, I think
Yeah, the point I was actually on Discord talking to Frank Merrick about this, and he's saying that's what he's found. He doesn't drizzle like he used to uh, because of the noise, and he says that the better you get the data, the better the denoisers and
sure.
the BlurX solves these problems for you. So
Good data trumps everything, right?
that's
Yeah.
right.
It always does. It always does.
Mhm. Okay, are we ready to roll?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions before we get going? I'm sorry for it. Yeah. Okay. Great. Now you can roll, Steve.
All right. All right. So we're gonna do. This is there's some things I learned about the dwarf that are not good in terms of calibration frames. This is from smart telescope to a process image, and I can only do a dwarf 3 example, but it's going to be similar for those who got the where are they the C stars, yeah. Except for I think with the C stars you might be able to get calibrated flats. With the dwarf you cannot, I discovered. So here's what dwarf 3 does on its own. They blow out cores, not a lot of color, but that's not a bad photograph, is it?
No.
I mean, some complete and total non-photographer can go out there and do this.
And what's the exposure there?
Yeah, I intentionally wanted to do bad data. So this is no filter, and this is my backyard, which is close to Bortle 9, and this is only 15 seconds and about an
15 seconds.
hour's worth of data.
A stacking of 15
So
seconds.
you're looking at an hour's worth of data, and that's not bad, is it?
No.
In really bad skies. And the whole point is you can process it in 10 minutes in Pixinsight, and you can start getting some color and detail. So you're blowing out here, and you can get some color and some extra detail there. And Dwarf does some processing on their cloud server. I'm going to zoom ahead here. So they call it Stellar Studio. It uploads and it does some basic stuff. So this is after, and that's not very noisy. And see that star is very not round. Now it is. So it does some basic decent processing. You can even do star removal with it. But you can't get the color out of it and do the regular processing that Pixinsight excels at. So I'm not going to even talk about lights because you just tell it to go to target and it does it. So bias frames help calibrate the flats. Flats They're not ready on dwarf, and I'll show you what I mean. Flat darks, I wouldn't even do because these aren't cool cameras. So I think I would just rely on the biases and calibrate the flats with that.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
I did want to just jump in on my Dwarf Mini. It came with some flats. I guess they took them in the factory or whatever, preloaded on it. And then I think there's a way to manually take flats with my Dwarf Mini as well.
Let me show you what I run into, and I bet you will too.
Okay.
Because I think we're running the same software.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, bias was easy. The manual says they can't take biases now, by the way. I've been confronting them on some of these issues, and I've noticed the manual is starting to change. So, I took a 10 thousandths of a second shutter, and that's that. There you go, beautiful bias. Merrill, this is better than your biases on your camera.
No, no doubt.
Okay, so here's what I did. I put that thing on the dwarf, and I started taking some exposures. And first of all these are stretched images, Merrill.
Mhm.
So when you open these up, they're black. That's the first indicator that there's a problem. And you want somewhere around 25, 35 median, don't you?
That's
25.
for the flats.
Yeah.
The full well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I target for anyway.
Yeah, it's 25, 35. Well, I took this is a hundredth of a second. This is 1 second. This is 10 seconds. Why do they look identical? So they're playing a game. They're normalizing. They're doing some weird stuff that the chip. They're overriding the chip and they're doing something with it. So a good flat would have a medium of this is a good flat. There's 29,000. So I just loaded one to show.
So Steve, when you were taking those flats, was that did it say that you were taking flats within the app, or was that just you taking just a regular exposure?
Well, my app doesn't allow me to take a flat. There's no flat
Okay, it
button.
doesn't actually have a flat button. Gotcha.
Right. But no big deal. You can take
I haven't even tried to mess with it. I just assumed that it did because I knew I could take darks and I could add more darks or manually take darks. I just assumed
right. The dark's no problem.
Flats and other things.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the section of the manual that says that at least on the Dwarf 3 you can't do it. I assume that'll be true on the Dwarf Mini.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I started going back and forth with their people, and finally I got a hold of an engineer, and they said, "Oh, Steve, don't worry about it. There's this Kali frame folder. You just go load it." So while I loaded it, and look at that flat at 16-bit. So, and then I found this in the manual. Currently, only dark frame management is available. Other types of calibration frames, such as flat frames and bias frames, are under development and will be added in future updates. I can tell you right now the biases are good, but if you can't do a flat, who cares?
I wonder if those flats are like just a standard inclusion in the software, not even specific to each individual device. If you went and compared yours and Ethan's.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
We do have two different sensors, I think, between the Dwarf 3 and the Dwarf Mini. So maybe they are somewhat different, but yeah, it could be just a master calibration frame that they've added to everybody's, and it's not really specific to your camera sensor.
Right. And if it was,
maybe you get lucky. Maybe you get lucky and have the same dust on them in the same exact location.
That's what the flats are used for.
Luckily, mine I don't see any dust motes in my flat or just straight images. So with it being a sealed unit, hopefully it will stay that way for a long time.
Yeah, see, that's the good news though, because when I took these flats and I did a histogram, you can increase the well that way. I just brought the midtones up. I couldn't find any problems, and it's a really, it's a very even chip. I mean, when you take pictures, there's not a lot going on in the corners that are too bad. So, the flats are not super necessary because there's never going to be dust mite. It's a sealed system.
What do you think of dust on top of the sensor?
Well,
on your lens on the outside part.
That's a good point.
But those are out of focus, aren't they? Way out of focus.
They're still
Yeah.
going to show up.
They still may show up.
It
Yeah.
still may show up.
Well, here's one thing I noticed about them. They respond to people very well. Here's the manual admitting that they can't do it, even though they give you one. And then also, they say they were going to work. They say they're under, when they say it's under development and they'll be adding the future updates. I think within a year we're going to have them. I mean, they're very responsive. Their engineering team. And now I'm going to talk about darks. Really, frankly, I question the need for even using these darks, though I take them not just from habit, because there's none of this going on with ZWO or Dwarf. The chippers are, those the Starvik that without the amp glows. So
Well, it's still got a few going.
Okay. Do you think ZWO, you think their C-Star does?
No, I'm talking just in general because the 4400, which is their new full frame camera, it's got a little bit of amp glow on it.
Yeah.
And, the 294 monochrome, which is on a 492 chip, has got in bin 1 mode, it doesn't have amp glow, but bin 2 mode, it's got the starburst like you normally see with the color one had.
Yeah.
And they're still selling those. But,
yeah, I got one of those 294 color ones that absolutely has the amp glow.
Yep.
But what I'm getting at, if it has an amp glow, you really have to have a dark. Otherwise, things are going to go wacky on you. But it's nice to be able to calibrate out some of that pattern noise that the darks can do. So I'll always do it. But I think I can get good results if I use cosmetic correction and Pixinsight and have no darks. I think I can make something look pretty good. Okay, so the problem with smart telescopes is none of them are cooling their sensors. So and the general rule is dark current doubles every 5 degrees. So if you shoot something at 30 degrees with your lights and it's 35 degrees dark, the patterns will not match. So the dark, I question whether you should even use a dark if you're not within 2 to 3 degrees. So you want your dark to be very close to the temperature as the light. And, for those of us who've done the DSLR stuff, that's why you take darks every night.
Well, before you leave the darks,
Sure.
One of the things on WBP, are you going to go into that in a bit?
I'm not going to spend a lot of time in WBP,
Well,
so go ahead, Mary.
There's a thing called optimized darks. Doesn't
Right.
that kind of smooth all that out? I mean,
Yeah.
lack of better word.
I think that was more designed for you're lazy and you took 60-second darks and you got 120-second lights.
I'm lazy.
It does a good job. It kind of normalizes all that.
Okay.
I think all of us have had DSLRs and we know the dark issues. And the rule with the DSLR is like, say you pull an all-nighter, well, you better stay there and get at least 8, 30, 300-second frames with the darks when you're done with your session, because then you can calibrate out problems. So what happens with these? I've noticed. I've seen that these C-Stars and the Dwarfs. They say, okay, the sensor's this temperature. You better take some darks. But my whole thing is I'm going to ignore that every time. Just take them at the end of the session like I do DSLRs. And Meryl, wouldn't you say the rule is about do a dark every quarter, redo them all? Your library.
That's how lazy you are, I think.
That's right.
It's probably been 6 months. I don't know. It's been a long while for me. I mean, John, what, Brent?
What are darks?
Okay. There you go.
I've kind of stopped using them altogether as well, or moved away, because what I found is for some reason when they get older, because when I have been using them, my darks are probably like 1.5 years old, so I'm not following any kind of pattern. But on occasion, Pixinsight doesn't like my darks, and the darks end up messing up the process. So just leaving them out, everything's fine. But if I go retake them, then they'd also be fine. I have no idea why, but I've just kind of started to find it's easy. 1, I don't need them, and 2, they often are introducing other strange problems that I didn't even feel like tracking down. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my 533 does not like darks. I mean, I can take them, and when I first used them, it made it worse. I was like, "What is this thing going on?" Leave them out. Everything looked a whole lot better. So I never shot darks after that with my 533.
And you can use cosmetic correction to get rid of those hot pixels.
Yeah, that's what you need the darks for nowadays with it.
Right.
Because, but yet, I think I can use the dark flats for that.
Yeah, that'll get rid of a lot of them.
Yeah, but I mean, so I'll do the flats and dark flats, but normal darks for temperature matching or whatever, it didn't work the first time, and I was like, I ain't doing it no more. You know,
Yeah.
I had my camera in the freezer for like, a couple hours doing all different sets of darks when I first got it. And when I first tried them, like the next night, no, left them out. Oh, it worked great. I deleted them all.
Yeah. I'm hearing this. I'm hearing this from a lot of people. That's
Well,
interesting.
isn't a lot of this modern AI tools that are being developed for processing, dealing with a lot of the artifacts that this stuff that all these calibration frames clean up anyway? I mean, at some point, will it even be necessary?
it depends, I would say, on like, and I'm thinking about the flats, for example. Like there's some things that you're just not going to be able to hit with software without getting like super crazy. But yeah, I think any of the lightweight stuff, I mean, it's almost a non-issue.
I mean, you can get rid of your hot pixels by dithering.
Yeah,
And, so you get rid of that, so you don't need to worry about that as much.
dust bunnies go away with some of these tools.
But even the small dust bunnies, the really smaller specks. I mean, dithering can really get rid of those as well. If you dither far enough, if you dither only a few pixels here and there, they'll stick around. But if you dither, 10, 15 pixels away and around in a random pattern, a lot of times those will disappear. But the big dust smokes and stuff won't. But your flats will take care of that. But for
Will
darks,
those new tools not get rid of the amp glow?
the darks will, but not the. I don't think there's anything in to do that.
Okay.
But Amplo is going away. That's one of those things that's going to be like.
Well, that's going to
Yeah.
go away for because the hardware is going to fix that.
Yeah, the technology that they got
It
into the
already
sensors.
has.
The Starvis 2 doesn't need darks because they don't have any amp glow. And if they continue that route and make it even better, where you get a better dark or don't need a dark at all after that.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they're going away. Soon.
That's what I didn't like about the 4400 when it came out with that. It doesn't have Starvis on it because it's not a 4 series chip. It's a 3 series chip. So it's still got a little bit of amp glow, but it's minimal amp glow compared to some of the other ones you've seen. So your 294 still got crappy amp glow compared to the 4400's got barely amp glow on like a couple sides, but you can barely notice it. And you can crop that out.
Yeah.
There's no like starburst coming into it like the 183 does and what the 294
Yeah,
does.
and mine's got nothing at all. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I got a fairly old chick, like the 073, 074, I think.
071.
The 071?
Yeah, those 71, that has zero amp glow.
Yeah.
But Adam borrowed my 294, and he asked me a while back, and he asked me, "What is that thing?" I said, "Well, there you go. That's amp glow. Enjoy the calibration." So okay. So back to darks. I think this is DSLR thing. Like if you want to be like within 1 to 2 degrees of the chip when it's taking the lights, you're acceptable at 3 to 4, 5 to 6. You can probably tolerate it, but if you're above 6, don't even use the darks. And what Dwarf does is it takes a new dark. They warn you to take a new dark every 8 degrees of change. Every 8 degrees change of temperature. It wants to take new darks. That's what they do. And let's see. How you date?
Is that automated in the workflow when you go to select it and run your session? Will
Yeah.
it automatically do the darks in the background after like we're pausing for a dark or whatever?
Yeah. What it
It's
does
like 15 seconds.
Yeah, what it does is it says, hey, this temperature is a lot colder, and you don't have any darks in your library, so we recommend you take it right now. So it's part of the when you click on the target and it's going to take shots. What I do is I skip it and just take the darks at the end. And we're not talking about long exposures with these, with these smart telescopes. 120 seconds is like max, and most people are shooting 30 seconds or on the data I have, I purposefully was not in EQ mode. I just wanted like somebody who's really not smart with astronomy. Just take this thing and point it and not try to get an EQ mode, which is kind of a thing. This is the type of data I chose to show today.
So
And it's really not intuitive how you take, like if you do a manual dart, John, you're in this astro mode here, and you hit these ellipses over here, and then this screen pops up over on the right side, even though you hit it here. It's kind of weird. Then you hit darks, and then when you do that, you get to hit add dark, and you get to choose the exposure, and this is the gain, and then you just do everything at 4K. That's the color of the sun, and then you got it. It knows to take about 10.
do you put the lens cap on? I mean, or does
Yeah,
it?
they give you these sunglasses. So let me just demo this flat problem I was telling you about, and then I'm going to do a quick process of the data. Here's their folder that was going to save my day. Here's their flat. We have 3 filters on the dwarf. They give you a flat for all 3. And this was on the hard drive, dwarf hard drive. And as you can see, look how dark that is. And a normal flat. Let's see where are those.
That's not screen stretched. I mean, that's
Not no.
Okay.
So if I just here's like a flat coming off ASI Air. That's kind of what you expect them to look like. So when I saw that, I knew it was on trouble. Here, I'm going to stretch it. But Pixinsight gives you a nice little tool. It's an inspection tool, statistics. And it defaults with normalize. Pixinsight likes to think between 0 and 1, if you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just choose this view, which is image 1, you can see, I need to be at least 0.5 there. But a lot of people aren't aware that even though this is a 12-bit camera, pretty much everybody saves it in 16 bits. So it when it saves the file, it moves your 12-bit data to 16. And pretty much, I've noticed that pretty much all of them do this, including the smart telescopes. So when you look at this, you don't want to look at it 12-bit because it's not. This is a 16-bit file, and it's not even close. Whereas this one, let's do image 2.
And did you screen stretch that one?
Yeah, this one's not screen stretched, and this one maybe a little bit high on the 35, but it's perfectly good flat.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing dust modes on my.
Yeah, I must have been clean that day. Yeah, because this is on my my big scope. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. That's why.
That's good. When you buy a plane leaf, it comes with a box of dust motes that you sprinkle across the mirror.
Yeah, right.
Is that true, Merrill?
No, I have to clean my mirror frequently.
Okay. All right. So here's how you get stuff off the computer. Like, let's see if I got it here. I didn't turn it on, unfortunately. So I'm turning the dwarf on. It has, I don't know, can't see me. Can you see this dwarf?
Well, you're not in focus, or it's not.
Put it in front of you. If you put it in front of you, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, really? Like that?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So it's a 1-port thing. You just stick a port in. And this is hooked up to the computer. Has to be on. And it's going to show up here in a second.
It's a Mac, isn't it supposed to work instantaneously?
Not my Mac. I meant to do this earlier, sorry. There it is. But no, still not on.
Blame it on the dwarf.
That's right.
Just don't toss it, you might get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's not going to come on. What you just double click on it, and they got an astronomy folder, and you click on that, and your darks are there and your lights.
Hit refresh.
How weird that I mean, this is never, of course, it only happens during presentation time.
Murphy's Law.
That's right.
Got a built-in screen sharing chat.
Well, if it comes back, I'll come back to it. I kind of want to hear John's presentation more than mine. So what are we on now? We're going to show a bad friend. Okay, so I brought the data over. And the folder looks like this. And they have a dark folder, separate dark folder. I brought it into here. Things are a bit slow today. So in the past, they saved darks with this file name. I sent a request to them to put the date on the darks and also to put the temperature on. And next update, they did it. I don't know if there's more than one person who did it, but that's how responsive they are. They really. So now the darks have the temperature, which comes in handy. And so here's what they look like. But I want to show you the lights. They give you this whole folder here. It has all of your it has all your FITS files. And that's the only thing you want. You have a few other files here, like this was the stack. They show you in this stack. And this was I guess it's the non-stretch stack. So the only thing we're worried about are the FITS files. And some of these they say are bad frames. See all these that failed? And
Yep.
my recommendation is use them anyways.
They called them out.
Yeah, they should say, okay, this thing, the star's got a little funky here. We're just going to say this is a bad frame. And the reason is, see how something happened to these stars, Merrill? They're not very round.
Well, I can't. Yeah, you have to zoom in on it.
Yes. Can
Yeah.
you see it now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
It's like it drifted.
yeah. So and it does that. I mean, it's the nature of these smart telescopes. I guarantee you that that's going to be perfectly fine. You can get a lot. So they tell you that in dwarf land they say, hey, just get rid of these. Don't stack them. I stack them all, and I let
Borax.
Pixinsight.
Well, Borax will take care of those.
Yeah, let it take care of all of that. So what I do is Pixinsight just does a really good job deciding what to do now. I mean, it's gotten better and better. Let me just start feeding the script. Weighted batch. I'm gonna reset it. And just like we're used to, but we would go get the darks. These were the ones that were good. Then I'll go get the lights. Just get them all, even if they say failed. And on the dark, biases and flats we can't do. You just can't do it yet. On the darks, I always leave everything default. On the lights, everything's looking good. You know, you can do that frame select we talked about last month to look at it before you start your stack. But I think John does this too. I always turn off auto crop and the solution, because you're going to end up cropping it anyways. You
Of
can get the
course.
solution later,
Yep.
and then that might save you like 5 minutes. Uh, and then you just hit run.
Do you have the output of that?
Yeah, so let's actually I did Pixinsight, and I did Cyril. This is Cyril, and this is SETI Astro, and this is Pixinsight.
Hmm.
I might leave one I didn't want to. Let's see. So as you can, this is not on an EQ mount, so you can see all sorts of twisting and turnings. This is Cyril, and look, it on the stack it does some weird stuff. It normalizes. Does this? I mean,
Hmm.
but but whatever process did this, you know, this is the best looking frame if you don't know what you're doing. You know, but it's really a lot of noise. The star shapes are not nearly as good as SETI Astro. And let me go get the last one. And this is the good one. And I ran a subframe selector, and you can see that I only did crop versions of all these, and I cropped in the same place. I mean, look at that PSF signal on the one where I turned off. I had it stacked the RGB separately. It just does better at everything. Signal noise ratio, look at that. So, and I just, it's really the best stacker still. I just thought I'd do that, but let's do a quick process. See, I can see some tools got a lot of that. All right, so it's a good. Are you familiar with it? Are you all familiar with this website? Let's see where I can find it.
Yeah, we're familiar with Zoom.
You know, so this is so frustrating. You got to move stuff around. Can't get to when you're presenting. Can't move that for some reason. There we go. There. This is like astrophotography.fr. He has processes for like suggestions for using Pixinsight for whatever situation you're running into. So I'm just going to generally just follow this one. So we're already stacked. We're going to crop it. So here's the process to do that. It is a geometry process, dynamic crop. And there's a lot of crap going on there you probably can't see because of the rotation. So I'm just going to crop it like that. Okay, so now we're cropped. And then the next thing they want you to do is do a gradient correction. But SETI Astro has something that does a gradient correction and a background neutralization at the same time. So anybody who's new to this is, and you know, this is a good place to start. Just auto DBE. I'm just going to execute it. Just takes a little while. There it is. There's the gradients. and see how that kind of aligned the colors pretty nicely. And next, they want you to. Now, here's where I want your opinion after listening to Frank last week or last month, whenever. He's saying don't do the correct only to begin with because you're not going to need a plate solve. You can do just a calibration with the old Pixinsight stuff. I mean, whatever tool that is, which is so in the day, I would choose. I would solve this image with that tool. And then in the process, I would do spectrophotometric color calibration. You're
Yep.
saying it's a waste of time.
Well, I know he said that, but I don't agree with it. But my experience is not that, but
Okay. So I mean, this wasn't too bad. It's something we should probably, John, you should look into that for us.
since you got nothing to do.
This is like, look at this process. This is he says just do the defaults, which is structure detection, drag it. You know, in terms of fixing the white balance, that did a pretty good job. If you compare these two.
So is that technically what you're trying to do, the color calibration? Just
Yeah,
white balance only?
that's pretty much what he says. Frank says if you do the math, that's pretty much all you can do.
I
And
remember
he
him
says you
saying
can do all this fancy gizmos and it looks technical, but he did the math and he's not impressed. So,
it's
it's just something I'm going to consider. And for people who are like new to this, who I'm targeting, that's what I would say to do. And so let's just go around the bend here. We got Blur X they want to do. Then they want to take the stars off and process those separately. Blur X, let's go to the default. I probably don't need that much sharpening, but I do need to get rid of some halos. And that does a really good job, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Rounds those stars up, so it's an incredible tool. Then they told me to rip the stars out. That's just a drag and a drop. And that's stretched. You can go in there and try to get rid of that. I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm just going to stretch these stars. So SETI Astro gives you this star stretch. And, you can remove them green, maybe add a little color. And, you can back it off you can play around with this. And that's fine for now. We're done with that. Let's take care of the noise now.
Okay. Are you still linear at that point?
We still in here.
Yeah, I just saw a YouTube video a couple of days ago where basically all you want to do is crop it and then stretch it and do all your stuff afterwards. Stretch it as quick as possible and then do your stuff afterward. And it seems that sometimes it comes out better than it does trying to do all the stuff pretty.
Yeah.
That's starting to be my new philosophy. Now, Adam Block would say you're committing a sacrilege.
Yes.
Uh,
But you try to convince us to do the noise reduction after stretch.
Mhm.
Now you're doing it before stretch.
Well, actually, I'm following this process. So
Yeah,
this
okay.
guy's so what he's doing is he's saying you Blur X. He says don't even worry about this. He says that you don't have to worry about the star noise. There's enough signal there.
Mhm.
So he doesn't even do he just rip the stars out. And then
But I look at what I do with stars. If you would look at the stars now, if you zoom into them really good, you'll see there is noise around in that little shadow area.
this
Yeah,
area
that's why I
here,
usually do. Yeah, if you go zoom into it really good, I usually see a little bit of noise that it comes out of it from where you took them from.
Okay, that's probably good. That's probably good
So
advice.
if you do noise X on this now, then
I
it'll
see,
clear that up.
John, I'm seeing the noise.
Yeah.
So you're
And
absolutely
noise X will
correct.
clear. So
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
otherwise, you're going to add that right back into your photo that you got rid of the noise in. It's going to bring that back, and you have noise around all your stars.
Yeah, so that'd probably be better to do that before. So shame on this guy. Okay, and then let's see. Okay, well, let's run it. Let's just run just the default noise X. That's really amazing. Can you see it through Zoom? I mean, it's just incredible.
Yep.
It gets, that's terrible. You can see so much more in this, and that's good. So at this point, I think they want us to stretch. Yeah, the GHS is what they're saying. We're just going to do a statistical stretch.
So, and we're going to see John's comparison of statistical stretch versus MAS.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. That's.
And I think MAS is so superior.
He has a new thing that helps these blown out areas. That it's a good idea just to turn on the HDR compress. Other than that, I go with defaults. 0.25 if nebula, I think it's like 0.1 if it's galaxy. And then you just
Yeah, I think he got that from the multi-adaptive stretch from Pixinsight because it has all that values in there, and he's like, "Oh, let me go add that in mine."
yeah. Okay, the stretch is already done here. So now we're no longer in linear, but we're still blown out with the core, but the data's not there. So then, good old wavelet. And for the dwarf data, I've noticed that 6 is the number. This is the hammer. You know, 6, 7, 8, 9 high, 5, 4, 3. You experiment with all of these. This is the critical number. For dwarf data, I find 6 is the number. And I also turn on 2 intensity to make it a color corrected HDRMT, which that's pretty dramatic how much that simple tool. I mean, we're totally blown out here. And it grabs that dynamic data and gives you detail. And most of us at this point would probably do a local histogram equalization of like maybe 0.2 or 0.25 to put a little contrast. And did you see how that made it pop more?
Yep.
You know, do another, that might be too much, but we're going to move on. And then now basically all you're doing is you're try to get some color in there and play around with these what they call intensity transformations. There's a lot of things to play with here. Arcsine stretch is a good star stretcher to put color in. You just play around. And if you hit S, you drag that over there, you can start seeing color starting to come in. And maybe one more. If you, I always like that's still pretty bright. So I do a, where is it? RGB. Kick that up a little bit and do an S curve. Merrill taught me this S curve. You can have this on and watch it while you're going, but I just kind of know what to do now. Let's see. And that makes that pop more. And then basically we're done. You just got to add the star back.
You got a lot of green. I would.
Okay, yeah, let's do a. I'm glad you said that.
SCNR.
It is still a bit green. So that's a noise reduction. Is SCNR. Just a simple drag.
Yeah,
and that helped a lot.
Yes, it did.
And so there's a script. Who does these cosmic photon scripts? There's just a lot of really good stuff here. He's got a star. You can reduce stars as you bring them back in, or this is just a simple screen stars. and you just choose your star view and your starless view, and
That's
you just hit the checkbox.
that's Bill Blanchen's tool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And mine.
he has a lot of
And
those.
he's Mr. Pixel Math, isn't he?
Yeah, yes, he is.
And then and then you got halfway decent image. This is an hour in Bortle 9. And if you off the stack that they do, it looks like this.
I mean,
So just 10 minutes of processing,
huge difference.
you can make a big difference, you know.
But just think about it, starting off with a fairly inexpensive telescope.
It's a fourth of the value of my mount.
Yeah, I know. I mean, back in the day, you had to buy this telescope, the mount, the camera, all this stuff.
And this is an hour and 15 seconds.
Pixinsight costs almost as much.
That's right. I have eyepieces more expensive than my dwarf. Anyway, just to fly through real quick. This is non-processed. It just comes out of dwarf like that. So it's great solar. This is not processed. I put this here to let you know. The focal. We're not at Mikhail level focal length here or Merrill, so the galaxies will be very small. It's not really a galaxy machine. That is like 30 minutes of rosette, and that's about an hour of Subaru. It does good with clusters. They give you two lenses. This is the wide lens, and this is like a 20-second, maybe 30-second exposure. But it's good enough to where Pixinsight could, detect the various Messier objects and put it in there. And this is the video mode. I took a picture of Mars. You get occluded.
Looks like the moon.
And that's an hour worth of data of the M31 and the Horsehead. It's not too bad. Bodes. That's what I did a while back for this data. So there you have it. 15-second exposures, Bortle 10, or Bortle 8 or 9 anyways. Somebody can do a really good job.
That's cool.
Very cool, Steve.
I'm gonna try it. My Stellina's been out in my garage ever since Rick brought it over, so maybe I need to do something.
You should bring those in and see what you can do with them.
Yeah, it probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Brendan asked if he could go a little bit ahead of John, if that's okay with you, John.
That's fine.
Yep. My topic was quick, so I figured I can hit it quickly, and then I might have to drop off early, so I didn't want to have to delay it till later. But Meryl asked me to talk a little bit about naming for those of you that use Nina, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Well, he's on the Nina Discord group, and so am I. And I just went back to it to see it, and he was the top of the list of questions and asked a very, very appropriate question that would it be helpful for everybody to use. But if you're not on Nina Discord group, you ought to, because you can find out lots of information there.
Yeah, and I've got a request into them for what I'm about to show you, what my solution is, because I don't actually have a solution. I've got kind of a workaround that I'm doing. But when you take your photos in Nina or whatever tool you happen to be using, it's going to format the file names in a particular way. You can control the folder structure, you can do all kinds of things, and Nina gives you some pretty good control over that. Just to highlight what you can do, so I've got Nina pulled open, I go to the options and imaging, and what it allows you to do is set up an imaging pattern. And that's really small probably to show, so I pulled it out here so that I can zoom in and show you the kinds of things that you can do. but you can build a pattern and you can tell it when I take my pictures, this is how you're going to store it on the machine. And the pattern that I use, this is what it looks like, but what it does is it creates a folder where I have the date, which is date minus 12, just because I don't need the real-time date, because the second I pass midnight, now I'm in a different folder. So it's date minus 12 with the name of my target. In my example, it's M33. Then I have a folder inside of each of those folders, depending on if it's lights, darks, or flats. So it's the next is the image type. And then I do a folder by filter. So when I'm doing my mono imaging, is it L, R, G, B, HA, and so on. And then I get to the actual name of the file. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. I put a bunch of stuff in mine. I don't even remember what the default is, but most of the stuff is really not all that important because it's stored in the FITS file itself, so there's ways to get to it. But the problem that I have consistently run into is actually when I get to the point of Pixinsight. And when I switch over, and I'm going to pull up Pixinsight, the problem comes in when you're imaging on multiple nights. So if, in my example that I'm going to show here, I've got a bunch of data on NGC 2903, my most recent Galaxy photo, but I imaged over 3 separate nights, which means I've got 3 sets of data, which means I have 3 sets of flats and dark flats and so on. And I don't want to mix and match those. And what Pixinsight allows us to do is set up grouping keywords over on the far right side. And this is how we're able to distinguish that I don't want you to mash all the data together. I want you to treat them as 3 separate capture dates and then mash them together. The challenge I've been having is figuring out the right grouping keyword to say these are all the same target, but they're on different dates. And what I found is Pixinsight does not like dashes. It gets a little bit weird when you're combining dashes and underscores. So consistently, I have a trouble telling it what the right data is to use. So what I've done, what I've asked the Nina people to do, and I don't really have a lot of traction, is can you just give me a date without the dashes? Don't give me 2026-03-18. Just take out the dashes, and that would solve all of my problems. But since we don't have that right now, my workaround that I've been doing to get around this is I actually have a simple batch file that I run on my folder. And after I've got a folder of captured data using the format that I gave you before, with a simple batch file on my computer, I can loop through and append a string or a date to the beginning of every file. And what the script is doing is just saying, loop through every file and folder, and I'll run it in my folder. Every file that is a .fits file, I want you to rename it and add the date, in which case I'll go on. If I were doing a session for yesterday, I would say 03-17 underscore, and then it'll be all the other things that we have. That gives me a keyword that I can then use. In this case, it's the date. And very quickly, it takes me about 2 seconds to do, but it's something I have to think about to do it. I've got my 3 sets of data by the different dates, and then Pixinsight looks at the second string after the underscore as the target name. So I've got my target name actually popping in here for 2903. So this is how visually Pixinsight's going to tell me, yes, I have appropriately segmented out my data, and I will treat it as those 3 different sessions. But again, when we get to post-calibration, it will merge it all back together again as the final product. So that's a quick rundown of like what I'm doing with that batch file to get around a problem. I don't know if anybody else has a better solution to this. The main one that I got out of the Nina the chat, and I didn't go over all the answers, was if I'm setting up my target name, then I should add it manually at that point in time. And I don't really think about it when I'm setting up my target. So I would set up my target name would be M33 with the date of the current capture. I don't really like that. It doesn't make sense to my brain, but it's just a matter, am I doing my fix on the front end or am I doing it on the back end? And the batch script helps me do it on the back end. So little story on what I'm doing there. I'm not sure if anybody else runs into that or has interesting workarounds, but that's what I do for my multiple night sessions.
Where did you run that echo script? Does Pixinsight run that or?
No, so basically what I do is, let me just go to, if I go to, so I basically copy and paste the file and I put it in the folder and then I'll run it and it'll loop through everything inside of that folder. So you're actually just double clicking on the batch file itself.
What's running it? What process? Like a process container or?
It's just a Windows.
Oh, okay.
It's built into Windows.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to see if I happen to have one. But like what I would do, here's some old data on the Veil Nebula.
Right.
I would copy and paste the batch file right here, which is just what I showed you before, and then I would double click it. And then it's going to run through and just append, which I did it here. I did session 0623.
Gotcha.
So it like I said, it's a quick and dirty way to mess with the file names, but it's effective. So
Is it just you create it with a text and then title it .bat?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I was trying to see, but yeah, it's a .bat file that you just double click it and run, and that's what it'll do.
Yeah. Now on the Mac, I can do a search for any file name and replace it with anything, and it happens in seconds. I assume you can do that in Windows. Is there a reason why not just do a search for that dash and
renaming
replace it with
files in
nothing?
Windows is a pain.
Yeah, this takes seconds to do. The whatever that rename like similar job would be, it's not going to be that friendly, I don't think.
Oh, okay. So on the Mac, that is instantaneous, even if it's 1,000 files.
No,
yeah.
Not that easy in Windows.
Okay.
Yep.
You could do it
but
from
this one's
command
pretty.
line too. That's what I thought he was doing at first, but this is cool.
Yeah, and if I just do, because I can show you this right now. This is old data. I don't care.
You can run it through a batch, process container in Pixinsight, and you just copy the file to new. Of course, you have to wait for thousands of files to copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care about this data. I've already copied it out, but I'll just show you because all I do is I copy and paste it. So I'll just edit the name of the file or the text of the file, which just right click and edit, and I'll change the date, which is 03/18, and I'll save that, and then just close it back out, and then all I do is click and run it. It's already done. So I've got 03/18 on it. So like I said, if I could get the Nina people to drop the dashes, then I wouldn't have to do this. But in the near term, it takes just a couple seconds, and it allows me to get past that weirdness with Pixinsight. Because like I said, what I found Pixinsight does when I set up those sessions, if I try to include the dashes, it's kind of treating them like underscores. So it'll match everything for 2026, and then my target name is 03 for March, and that's not what I want.
Okay.
So
wow. Yeah, I mean that's all you have to do, like give the ability to format that date and then format those dashes out of there. It seems like that. I bet that happens.
Yep.
Well, I just thought the basic question was good for people to use in the WBBP realm.
Right.
Yep.
Do you basic question? The reason you do it is because you think it comes up with a better result when you separate them by date?
The reason I do it, one of the main reasons I do it is because I take apart and reset up my stuff all the time because I'm moving between different stuff. That particular target I did 3 days in a row, so it probably would have been fine if I had mashed it all together technically. But the flats turn out a little bit different each day, so that's why I process them independently. A lot of times it'll be longer periods of time, so I might have some data from January, some data from February, and tons of things have changed in the in-between. So,
Right.
Gotcha. No, that's good. That's helpful.
so like I said, if anybody needs it, again, it's I'm glad to share it. It's a really simple batch script, but it saved my bacon a number of times. So
Cool.
Now throw it in the Discord channel.
yep, I will share that.
Mhm.
You put in comments.
No, I'm a developer. I don't put in comments.
Any other questions for Brent before we move on?
Remember, always comment your code.
Unless you're lazy like me.
Unless you're lazy
It-
like every coder on the
That's
planet.
right.
It comes back to get you like 8 or 9 years down the road, and you go back to a script you created that long ago, and you're like, you figure out what the hell was I doing here, and you got to redo the whole thing from what the hell was I doing here? I don't remember doing
That's why
that.
people like me made money. I always remind everybody to comment their code.
See, I'm just thinking about the next generation, right? Giving them job opportunities. Don't know if AI will be able to figure out what I did.
Have AI comment your code.
There you go.
It'll probably do a good job.
Yeah, probably.
It'll duplicate all your lines and put a comment on the first duplicate line that say this is the comment for that second line. So you didn't go to it.
Okay. Ready to move on to John's presentation?
Annual presentation.
It's
I
not.
haven't played with this yet. I haven't played with the stretcher yet.
This is worth seeing. I mean, it's
I hear good things about it.
This is live fire exercise. So it's either going to be good or bad. Multi-scale adaptive stretch. What you really want to do is you want to be able to, well, you got your main stack. You want to go ahead and crop it. You want to go ahead and plate solve it if you're going through that route. You want to basically you want to crop it, plate solve it, and then do the background extraction. At least, that's what they keep on saying. You want to get that part done, then you're good to go from this point.
Right.
And so this one here on the left side of the tadpoles I did a while back. So that looks kind of familiar. You see the little tadpoles here. This is with my 9 1/4, my 533 and my 9 1/4. So I really was doing the cluster, but didn't realize that, I got the tadpoles too, 2 for 1. So when you look at multi-scale adaptive stretch, this is the default out of the gate. So you have a stretch area for target background aggressiveness, and you got dynamic range compression. Target background, you're looking at to do your desired background level after stretching. Do you want it kind of dark? Do you want it kind of light? And we can play with that here in a second. Then you got the aggressiveness, which sets your shadows and clipping point. So you can do where it will you can do a conservative clipping at a low range, you can do a balanced clipping at a medium range, and you can do a really aggressive clipping at a high range. So, and one little thing you do, which is really nice, if you really want to see if you got your really crappy data, is you go ahead and let's take a look at that data. It's like, what the hell is this? You got to make sure you turn off your screen transfer function. Otherwise, it looks like it's double stretched or way overstretched. So this is what it looks like. Default out of the gate, this is what it will stretch it to. And if you play with the target background, you can bring it down a little lower, and it makes it a little darker. You can go up higher with it, make it a little brighter, so you can really tell if you got really good data or not. This is about 14 hours of data here.
So this is 0 to 1?
Pretty much, yeah, 0 to 1.
Okay.
Like everything else in Pixinsight.
Yeah. Meryl, what is a good number for a background in your head?
I knew about 0.25.
Okay.
It's something like this, I do 0.25. I ultimately get 0.12, 0.1.
Okay.
That's
Kind of-
0.25 right there.
Yeah. But with the final product's about 0.11, that's kind of the darkness I like. It's a personal taste thing.
With the aggressiveness, when you set your shadow clipping points, so you can, if you bring it down, you'll see it gets a little, darker. So you might go up a little higher. I mean, you can sit there and play this all day. Most of the time, I just hit the defaults and see what comes out the other end.
Yes, that's
Then I go back and they play with it a little bit. So you can make it darker, then you can bring up your black points.
Wow.
My routine is just use the defaults, and it's just amazing to me.
Yeah. So got a dynamic range compression, and you might not really see the effects of it, but you see when you really bring it, you see it gets a little darker. And you can, it's like trying to bring some of the contrast stuff back. It's so you can play with this all day, and until you find something you really like, or you're like, oh my god, what the hell did I do? Just hit reset. You can do a background reference. So if you pick a little spot, yeah, it's got. Stick right there. And you get the background reference in there, so you can do contrast recovery. I'll take these off. So it does like with the background reference, it's trying to do a what is it? It's trying to it's used for the background to level determination during the stretching process. What it's trying to do. So I picked actually a cloud level up here. That was nice. So that's not really a good spot. Should have picked down here, but yeah, we're just playing them. So I mean, the more you play with it, the more if you start taking notice of what it's doing, you'll see that sometimes the stars will shrink down a little bit. Sometimes they get a little bloated. You do contrast recovery, bring it down. If you want, go back to defaults. So we try to, we come down here with it. You see how everything is a little smaller.
Yeah.
If we take a look at that. If we come down, you'll see how look at the stars.
That's fantastic.
So it tries to control a little bit.
And it's not Mason with the dark background.
Right. Because you got that, it's trying to keep that set to that whatever level you got up here. Once it tries to keep it there, so it's always making the constant adjustment. So if whatever you make something else, is trying to keep that where it wants.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, you can do color saturation. It's kind of the same way. I mean, you can add a little color, take a little color away. You can boost it. Yeah, give it a second to finish it. But most of the time, for me, I usually hit defaults, see what it does. So, I mean, it gives you a good starting point where you can start there. And then you can go through and do your rest of your process, and you can up it, down it, and afterwards change your color and all that stuff. But these have been with background. I did the gradient background from Mars process on this one. I did the dynamically cropped out because this has all been dithered, so I took out the edge artifacts and stuff. And then I also did the spectrophotometric color calibration as well on it. So just as a process, and that's where this is at right here, just to do a basic stretch. Now all you got to do is pretty much hit apply. And now you got stretched. Now this one over here is a double cluster. So you can see it is just wide field. Take that off, over here. There's your default. So maybe you want a little bit darker background on this one being basically just a star cluster area. You can see what the stars look like. They're kind of weird. Take some of the aggressive down. Dynamic range. I mean, you could sit there and play with this. Another one, play with this all day. Get where you makes it a little brighter. Most of the stuff I really never really mess with that much. It's usually just hit it and quit it.
Yeah, I've messed with this a little bit. So like I've always said, you're gonna have to claw easy stretch from my cold dead
Oh, yeah,
hands because I love it. But like this is very, very close to what easy stretch is doing with more control and in the form of a process, not a script, so you can work it into other automations a lot easier. I've always said, like, I don't know, I'm a pretty smart person, I like to think. I could not figure out GHS. I could not. Like, I don't know if my brain is set in its ways, but like no matter how many times I tried it, it just never would click for me. But what Easy Stretch and this is doing, like it's really no brainer stuff, which I like.
Yeah, so this one over here, so if I went up to do the easy stretch, the easy soft stretch on the second one here. So I mean that's what it would come out. This one here would probably be about the same. Let me go back to this one, back over here, default. So default's out of the gate with it. It's a little tad darker than the easy soft stretch, but it's still fairly close. And I have found to where some of the data, depending on how good your data is. I mean, the double cluster is like 2 hours. When I was trying to do the Horsehead Nebula, which is only like 20 or 40 minutes of it, when I did the multi-scale adaptive stretch on it, it made it ugly. I was like, holy God, what the hell did it do? And whereas the only one that worked good was the easy soft stretch, would make it look like, okay, it looks normal. I can get something to work with instead of wacky crap. I mean, really blown out here or there or whatever. You can buy the defaults of the adaptive stretch here. I mean, it's a good tool, but once you play with it, and you just got to keep playing with it, you got to read about it, you got to look at the sliders, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish with it when you move stuff around. You could probably get some decent stuff out of it, but I also see it as you might spend a half hour trying to get it good, only for this one thing. Your next thing you want to do might not work as well. You might have to go through and tickle the settings a little bit here and there. Whereas soft stretch, boom, done. And then you can work from that point up and down the colors, or take it a little bit darker through histogram. If you want to make the background darker, or with multi-scale, that's about the only thing I usually did with the target background, make it a little bit darker. And
The other thing that I do, I don't know if you did this on the horse head, but like I always do that stretch without the stars, and I do the star stretch separately, kind of like what Steve was showing earlier. Some of these auto tools can kind of mess with, if you're doing stars and your subject at the same time, it can be a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
Let's see, the horse head, where did I have that? I see. Horse head, 533.925.
While he's doing that, the other thing that I like about both soft stretch and this is you can get everything at the same level. Like, so when you're doing mono, like when I do my stretches, I'll do them all at the same time, and I know that I'm going to stretch to the same thing. Now you can do the linear fit, I guess, later, but that it just saves a step that I don't have to do that at all. I know when I stretch, they're all going to be at the right same level when I merge them back together.
Yeah, and statistical stretch wouldn't do that. It would measure. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I did these like two different ways because I had some of the data got ejected out and I was able to fix it. So one here is 28 minutes, the other one's 40 minutes. And this one, to me, this one here is a little too darker red, but I was trying to bring out different coloration of this little cloud down here. Whereas this one over here, when I first did it, the 28 minutes, this came out a lot better here. But I mean, with this, the 533 and the 9 1/4 at 1645, or I think mine's 1648 at the moment. I mean, it's not that many stars. I mean, yeah, I could take them out and stuff, but I know one of these I did the adaptive stretch. On another one I think the one on the 28-minute one I had to do the soft stretch, easy soft stretch. When I got to 40 minutes, I think I was able to do the adaptive stretch on it, made it look okay, and then had to tweak it from there. But this is my work in progress. I mean, this was well, I need to go to this side of the sky anyway to do your PhD calibration stuff on it. So let it do that. And I go, oh, well, you're already there doing it. Here, just do this for a couple hours and then go somewhere else. Do the, let Nina take the wheel or whatever. And it would go pick a galaxy or whatever I had in the list. It'd go and find it and start working on that. But I think it's one of these things you just have to try in the data you got. It might work pretty good. It might not work so well. I mean, even with the screen transfer function made it look kind of ugly in the beginning. I had to go back and soft stretch it. Boom, worked.
Mhm.
The statistical stretch did okay, but I think the soft stretch started me out in a better spot to go. So it's just another tool to use for stretching. It may work good for you, it may not. It's just one of the things you got to try, play with it for a little bit, and spend some time with it, and you might find a way to, okay, I need to be in this range here, this range here, this range here for a nebula, and this range for like clusters, and then for galaxies maybe a little bit different type of settings to get
Are
you
you guys
started.
like me? Are you guys like me where I try about 5 different first stretch methodologies, or you just kind of go with something that you're comfortable with?
I try the new ones when available, just see what they can do, and I found some of them do work very well.
Yeah.
And depend on it comes right down to the data. Where it's okay, this data worked great on. Let me try this data here. What did it do? Oh, this over works better. So then you start trying to keep up tabs of this works good on this works good on that. It might work good on my 9 1/4 for the head horse head here, but it might work crappy on the horse with my GT71 at 335 or 336 millimeter. With the full
Right.
area.
And Steve, I've used the exact same stretch methodology for 2.5 years, and I have not deviated from it. So
I get that. I get that because easy stretch is usually my choice for a first stretch.
Yeah,
So
I've used easy soft stretch I've used it for a few years. And when I was doing my Galaxy process a couple of years, I was always using the easy soft stretch, and it was all part of my process flow.
But
It's just a matter of bring it up, click on it, and it was done.
has anybody here done a mask stretch, which is an old Pixinsight stretching tool? It's called a mask stretch.
I use masks post stretch, but
Oh, yeah,
not
yeah.
during the stretch.
That shrinks the stars. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, it does
I
100
found that
iterations.
I've used it as a first stretch on a few of my.
Mhm.
Let's see, where is it? Yeah, mass stretch. Do you see
Yeah,
it? On the-
yeah. It does it like many iterations, and
Yeah.
uh,
So usually easy stretch blows this away. Then I tried this on some things, and I go, "Wow, okay, that's a good first stretch."
Yeah, the one thing I do like about the multi-scale adaptive stretch is that you can at least open the preview of it and work in it real time. Whereas like mass stretch, you got to pick a bunch of settings and hit it and see what happens. Then you
It's
got
a
to back out and do it
long
again.
wait. Mass
Yeah.
stretch is a long wait. It's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That was my biggest thing with the multi-scale. I'm kind of defaulting to use that first, only because I have the real-time preview on it, to be able to play with it and live until you see what you can do. And then if I can't get it balanced within a reasonable amount of time, it's like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, the hell with that. Easy soft stretch, see what that does. And I've only had easy soft stretch fail a few times on some of the data I have because there's just so little of it. It's like, I don't know what the hell to do. And just have to go manually do the histogram and bring it up slowly and go that route. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's quite a bit too. It's not like, default out of the gate does pretty good unless you want a little bit. I just usually just did the target background if I will need a little bit darker to begin with, or maybe a little bit lighter. And then everything else you try to leave alone. And Pixinsight does have videos on the multi-scale adaptive stretch, and they got it set for going if you're going to do mono data, if you're going to do one-shot color data, and just the tool overall in general. There's like 3 or 4 different videos out there now on YouTube from their channel.
I think this could beat Easy Stretch in that it looks like you can pull a lot more color out of that first stretch.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you got the color
yeah,
saturation that you can add
yeah.
to it.
And
The
you got
problem I have with
Mhm.
that though is like and this is me personally, like I do all my color stretching through selective masking. So like I don't want it to hit everything all at once. I use the range masks to kind of get things in the right balance. So
Oh, okay.
this one I would be too worried that it's maybe going to be a little too heavy-handed where I might be a little bit more precise.
Hmm.
Crappy stars.
So tell me the steps you do to that, Brent. You actually create a red, green, and blue mask, and
No, once I can probably walk through my. I use Pixinsight like a sledgehammer, so I can probably walk through my process in one of these sessions. Um, but what I do is I'll start by separating everything out into LRGB, even if it's one-shot color. I'll separate it out and process it as if it was mono.
Mhm.
I'll run through BlurX, NoiseX if the data's bad, but if it's decent, I'll skip the NoiseX till later, kind of like what Steve was talking about earlier. I'll do a I'll do easy stretch on each of them. And no, wait, what do I do? I got to think through my luminance process. I'll run easy stretch, and then I will do a range mask, and then I'll hit it with MLT and LHE, the local histogram. And once I'm good with that, then I'll merge my color together and I'll do the soft stretch on RGB. So I stretch them all to the same level, and then I merge that together. And then I boost that saturation, and then I apply my luminance to that boosted saturation.
It's interesting. I've never tried that.
Yeah, that, like I said, I've kind of using the same process I have from the beginning. I'm sure there are different ways to apply it, but I struggle to deviate from things that work for me.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, this icon set is kind of older icon set I've had to where do the cosmic cosmetic correction. There's my dynamic crop, the gradient correction. I was always doing ABE for the longest time. Then I would manually do the color calibration in the back. So I like a little process container to run these two here for it. Remove the green out of it, do the histogram. I mean, I'm kind of like with Brent with the generalized hyperbolic stretch. I mean, I play with it a little bit. I mean, it can do wonders, and but it takes a
Not
little
for
finesse
me.
to it. I mean, you got to do a little at a time, play with it here and there. But I guess to the point where, what the regular histogram does to me, from what I'm trying to get to, it does really well. If I'm trying to target certain things in it, yeah, you can go in and select the point that you want on your. If I want to bring up the darker area, click on that on the picture. It highlights your line, and you bring that down, and that gives you your point where it's going to try to wrap around it or whatever. And then if I was doing combinations with if I split out the channels and recombine them, this is like the old way I was doing stuff, and then I had other stuff added in, and now I'm kind of more over here to where a dynamic stretch, do the blur correct only, and do image solve, do the flux calibration, multi-scale gradient correction. If that fails, then I'll have to go back and do the automatic DVE from City Astro Tools. The color calibration, multi-scale adaptive stretch, then the blur, noise, and star X. Then I do a sharpened starless still, and then I usually reintegrate the stars afterwards. I mean, that's my quick and dirty one right there. Just this whole set right here. And that's on this one. I have a little bit different one on my other one because some of that I do have the color masks on some of the other ones. I can, like this right here, I can bring out the red mask, create a red mask out of it. I'm trying to tamp down certain areas of the, photo. I get like that, like a purplish hue on this one whole side over here that the gradient didn't correct or something like that. And I can get it kind of taking that over here.
Well, if you go through the trouble of multi-scale gradient correction, then you might as well use the SPCC.
Yeah. That's what I do. And when,
yeah.
You've already flux calibrated it, and you're gonna do the SPCC on it because you already got it. You're there already.
Yeah, you already image solved because you can't
right.
Yeah. So
And I've had it where even the flex calibration would fail. And it's like, okay, now then I abandoned the whole list right there. I was like, well, since I can't get the flex calibration, I can't do the multi-scale gradient calibration. Then I will flip over to do City Astros, his dynamic background.
mhm.
And then I'd come back over to here, and I've had SPCC fail. Not enough data, whatever for it. Then I flip over to go to the manual, background neutralization, color calibration, part, and then continue on.
Yeah.
I've had that fail, just the same error, and I couldn't figure out why there's not enough data. Well,
Yeah.
what the heck does that mean? It doesn't have enough data.
I know on one of them, it's like it couldn't find enough star matches for what it's looking for.
What start
Uh,
that?
Merrill, it's probably your focal length, Merrill.
What you think?
Yeah, you got too few stars in the frame compared to the wide field.
I don't think it was an issue with star not having enough stars. It's something, a different error. I think what John
Well,
just said.
Well, I know with the multi-scale gradient correction with using the Mars process, what usually fails on that is because it separates out. It's looking for a HA03 S2, in the back end in their database. And a lot of times it's got to find at least 5
Yep.
of each one. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't have 5 of each one, it's going to fail it. And
Okay,
I've had it. Well, you
that's-
found 3 samples and it needs 5 samples, and it's like, so we found 3 of this one, and it's like, sorry, can't do it. It gives you the big middle finger at that point.
Yeah, I'll go in
You
and
have
I'll
to go
start
back to
messing with settings in the signal evaluation setting, and I'll start like turning down like the thresholds on it. Like if you increase the noise reduction a smidge and then decrease some of the
Yeah.
detection scales, eventually I get it to work doing that.
So-
I don't know
so
what
that's
I'm
what you-
doing, but it works.
Okay, that's helpful.
But yeah, so part of me is because I get impatient. I want to get it done as quick as possible. Go through this, get it, get it. I want to see the end result type thing. I haven't, I've learned to slow down a lot lately. Just even gathering data. Usually it's like, 30 minutes to an hour is good enough for me, or 2 hours is good enough. Now it's like, I haven't really posted nothing on my little Astro channel I have in Facebook in several months because, well, I'm still collecting data. Like the tadpoles there, that's at 14 hours. I'm going to 20 hours on it. So I think I got to get more of the S2 H beta data on it, and it hasn't come back around to pull that back yet. So that's going to probably be next year when it comes back around, or probably next couple of months when it starts coming up in the east again.
Okay, anything else for John before we call it a night? Any questions about anything before we call it a night?
Any of the lies I can tell you. Any more lies to tell you?
Okay, well, this has been helpful tonight, and appreciate all the preparation you folks did. And next week or next month, I mean, prior to then, I'll be asking for input for the agenda items, and we can just take off talking. Seems like that does well. So
I leave for my big vacation on Friday to Iceland, so y'all enjoy your next week worth of cloudless skies.
Did you get that lens, Brett?
I did. Well, I'm picking it up tomorrow, but
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, I got the brand new Canon 14 millimeter f1.4 L primary lens. I managed to get it through the lens rental group that it's based out of here in Memphis. I didn't realize that. So I was like, I don't know. I may never go to Iceland again. I'm going to take the best darn lens I can get my hands on.
That is your Aurora lens for sure. That is
He's taking all the clouds with him. It's going to be clouded out.
100%. That's why I said, y'all enjoy it. Get your stuff out. This next week, it's going to be better than it's ever been. I guarantee it.
Friday and Saturday's looking good for the marathon right now.
He's going to have no aurora activity whatsoever while he's there. All the volcanoes and stuff are going to be all quiet. He ain't going to be nothing for him to do.
I'm setting. That's where I'm setting my expectation level. No, actually, the sun popped off. The next 3 to 4 days are supposed to be major aurora stuff. So,
wow,
fingers crossed.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. I can't wait to see those photos.
How many hours of dark are you going to get when you're up there?
It'll still be pretty reasonable. So,
really?
Yeah.
I was there in August, and There wasn't any Target.
The line of the land of the midnight sun.
Yeah, of course,
right?
it was cloudy the whole time, so it didn't matter. All right, guys, let me close out the recording here, and I again appreciate all your efforts, and we'll see you again next month. Stop.